Welcome to another episode of Soul Filling, where you get your soul fed. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Kobe.
And today we are talking about validation. Are you a people pleaser? Do you care too much about what other people think? Let's talk about it.
Yes, y'all, it's crazy. So I saw this post from the Brain Coach, and it was just talking about signs you tend to seek external validation and signs you practice internal validation. And I started for inspiration, but I really didn't, think much of it. Mm-hmm. And then I have started binge watching Love is Blind. I don't know if y'all seen
Girl,
it.
I ain't seen the whole thing. I'm about to watch a reunion tonight. Okay.
So I'm on the late
y'all talk
show.
about this.
Look, I just started this week.
Oh,
and because I've seen it, like,
you
it
go
was
watch
on Twitter,
it
was on Instagram. Everybody
As
watching it everywhere. Like, as I see people like at the airport, just in the store, like everywhere, I'm like, okay, let me go on and watch this show.
Okay.
As you should.
And Jessica.
It's ridiculous.
That's all I'm going to say is Jessica.
If you know, you know. Jessica.
If you know.
Oh,
and baby,
okay, I need to watch it
have
now.
a perfect man, but she's just so worried about what other people going to think because she's 34 years old. The person that she fell in love with is 24 years old. Mm-hmm. And she just like, this is not going to work. He's 24. Like, what is his parents going to think? What are my parents going to think? This is just not functional. It's not. And she was just annoying.
Like, literally, she's the only one worried about her age. The only one.
Validation.
He ain't worried. His parents ain't worried.
When she went to that pyramid, her mama said, his mom said what she said. I was like,
Mm-hmm. It's like, what excuse you got now?
Exactly.
Okay. So I hope y'all go watch that.
Yes, just seeing her and just hearing her keep talking about it, it just made me think about the post again. Mm-hmm. And then we were thinking about a topic. I was like, oh yeah, we got to talk about it.
We got to talk about validation because a lot of the things that we do is tied to validation.
Yes. And
so I did want to break down what validation means, and this is actually from a psychotherapist. I think that's her. Yeah, a licensed psychotherapist. Okay. Her name's Sherry Gaba, and I, of course, went to psychology today to look up what validation is all about. Mm-hmm. And so basically her definition for it was the recognition and acceptance of someone else's experience. Accepting these thoughts and experiences as valid. And so I was like, okay, as valid, validation. I'm like, let me look up valid. Okay, valid. Having a sound basis in logic, in fact. Reasonable or acceptable. So basically what this is saying is validation is you wanting someone else to recognize and accept something that you do, something that you say, your idea, and to say like, oh yeah, that's reasonable, that's logical, yeah, you could do that. It's like kind of like a reassurance. It's kind of like security. Yeah. So, and I did want to say that all validation could be a good thing and could be a bad thing.
Because when you think about just the brain coach who posted this, she was like, when you think about just where we come from as a people, you think about the tribes and communities, and it makes sense because in order to feel like you are a part of the community and you're one with your tribe, you need that validation to say, okay, like I'm accepted by my people. And so like, I get it.
I get it too. Yeah. Because what you were saying was, and I get it coming from that aspect, because what you were saying was, think about when we're with a group of our friends. Yeah. How you just, if you get that validation from this, you was second guessing, just as simple as going shopping.
Yeah. And you get it. My hair.
And you get simple as picking your hair. Like, if you get that validation, like, girl, that's cute. That's popping. You slaying that. It's gonna boost that confidence. Yeah. It's gonna give you that is gonna help breed a sense of security. And like you were saying, it's gonna make you feel safe. It's gonna make you feel that security.
Like you're making the right decision.
Like you're making especially if these are from people that you trust. And so it's like that. Even think about when we went to Austin that one time. We was going down that river. And when you was like, I'm really glad that I did it with y'all because y'all really helped me like overcome. Yeah. And it's like something that I wouldn't do by myself.
Even when we went to skiing in the mountain, if y'all ain't get on that dang ski lift, there's no way I would have got on there.
no way. And it's just like insane with me. Like there's certain things I wouldn't even think of or think I'm good at. And you're like, girl, what you doing? You really killed that. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, and so it's like that validation, like you said, it is. And it was saying in the, I think this was the article that I was reading on, maybe I can't even remember the exact name of it, but basically it said that validation, it helps foster like these top 5 things, and it was like honesty was one of them. It helps because if you feel like you're honest, you're getting a sense of validation from someone, they're giving you their honest opinion, you feel like you can now be vulnerable with them and give them your honest, so it breeds honesty, it creates that trust. Number 2 is trust. It creates a feeling of safetyness, like we were saying, and security. Like I wouldn't have never did that, or should I take this fashion risk, or should I dye my hair this certain color?
Right.
If you ask your top closest people, like your mom, your cousin, your sister, or your best friend, and they all like, "Girl, I think you would look good as a honey brown or something," you gonna be like, "Oh, really?" Or should I go red? Or it just helps with that validation.
Girl.
And just to run through the other ones real quick, and then it helps build understanding. And I was like, because once you feel like someone validates you, you feel like, going back to our last podcast with communication, it helps you understand that y'all are on the same page. And so like if we have similar validation, and you won't have the same validation with everyone, but of course with the people that you share beliefs with. And so it helps breed that understanding. And so going back to what Kobe was saying, is our social need to kind of feel validated and want to be validated and wanted to belong, because now I'm reading, I'm like, it creates all of these things, so I get it. But and then just the last one, it says it helps us move through difficult emotional situations and challenges.
It really does.
I was like, oh
yeah. No, it really does. And I'll just bring up one thing, and I told myself I was not going to talk about like love anymore, relationships and stuff. I'm like, but my mom, I hate doing this. Okay, I just told myself.
Use Jessica's example. Like that was a prime example. She wasn't allowing herself to love this person because of external validation.
But what I was saying with the what was the last
fear
one?
of doing things?
Validation helps us move through difficult, emotional, and challenging situations.
Right. So me and my mom were going through like the same thing, like relationship wise, and like the guy she really likes acting this way, the guy I really like is like this, and so it wasn't until she said like, all I know is, she's like, Tiffany, I may have my ups and downs, but one thing I do know is that I'm going to get back to my up. And I'm like, I needed that validation to say like, you know what? You did teach me that we're going to be fine. And so like, get back to that normal. And so you do need that validation. I even wrote a post on my Tiffany Malone Facebook page. And I was just talking about, because I ran across like, this video of me with my back brace on from when I hurt my back. And it was like, at that time, it felt like I wasn't going to get better. It just felt like my back was tweaked for like, it felt like, oh shit, is my back going to be like this the whole time? But it wasn't until I wrote about like how my brother was there for me. He said that he went through the same thing. And my mom was like, oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to get back to shape, like into the right shape. And it's just like, you do need that positive affirmation and validation to know like, yeah, I can do this. I can get through this. Right. And so I like that she said that.
Sometimes, and we've talked about this in the past. Excuse me, I guess I'm losing my voice. But sometimes we talked about this in the past, where sometimes we just have to remind ourselves who the fuck we are.
Yes.
Like, we just have to remind ourselves how poppin' we really are. Yeah. And sometimes that validation, because it sounds weird, but we forget. We forget who we are.
Yeah.
We forget the good qualities. We forget the great traits. We forget the beautiful aspects, because we can be our worst critics.
Right.
We can be the hardest on ourselves. It's like, and so when we going through this state of flux and this negative spiral, sometimes you need someone outside of you that can see the beauty in you, someone that you trust, so that you can even be able to have the ears to receive the words that they're saying, because you can get it from someone and it can just go right over your head. Yeah. And somebody could be trying to validate you and it's just going right over your head. You're not receiving it, and you just not, you like, because we're so stuck in that mindset of what we want to receive about ourselves that we can't even receive the validation that sometimes in some cases we can't receive the validation that others are trying to give us. So it's just like, you need that validation and from the right person so that you can receive it, if that makes sense. And I don't even want to say you need it, because then that brings me to another point, how it can be problematic.
But can I say something about like making sure that, I like how you said you have to get validation from somebody who knows who you are. Remember who the F you are. Because like a lot of times we could get a validation from from people that don't even know you. But when you get some type of validation from somebody you know, and someone that doesn't lie to you, who's not saying like you cute, but you really ain't cute, like they had you buy that dress but you ain't supposed to be getting that dress, like, but for somebody who actually knows who you are, that's a different type of validation. And then that's why we always say it's very important for you to be surrounded by people who love you and who affirmed you and wants the best for you.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you were about to say something about it being problematic. I didn't know what you were about to say. I have some other things too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say. So I know we're in the process of talking about like how great a validation is, especially from the people that are closest to you, especially from the people that we love the most, especially from the people that you just really want that validation from. But in wanting validation from our close family members, our mom, whether it be your mom, your dad, your sister, your best friend, your significant other, your bae, your boo, whatever, whether it being that you wanting to receive that validation from them, receiving it from them you want to receive it from them in a balanced and a healthy way, because it can become problematic when you're like addicted to every little thing has to be validated before you can even make a move until they okay it or clear it, or being afraid to, I'm assuming with just like the show Jessica, I ain't seen it. I mean, with Jessica, what's the show?
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. Yes. So just try it, because she's concerned more about what society will think about her dating this guy that's much younger than her, and it could be you out there, soulmates, or someone that because I ain't speaking this over our life, but maybe someone that is going through, like, maybe I don't want to be seen because he ain't got the right caliber of job, or maybe he's broke right now, or maybe he not tall enough, or whatever, she's too this or that. And it's just like, we really have to separate ourselves from thinking about what our mom think we would look like together, or what my friends gonna think about him,
or how we look on Instagram together,
or how we gonna look for our followers, or how we really have to get out of all of that, because that will potentially could possibly make you lose out on something really special, and someone really special, and a relationship that could be really, really special, because we're caring so much about what other people want and what they would think. And it's like, meanwhile, are they even happy in what they got? And again, no one is perfect, so even if what they have is what they have, that's for that person. So we have to strip away from all of the external validation and the factors of what they may want, and the things that the people that are closest to us, our peers, and really, really take some time to see what is it that you truly want. And sometimes we don't even know what we want. Now that I'm thinking about it, you might not know what you want until you meet that person, but you have to be open. You have to be open to, when it does come, to not being so, what's the word? Because a critic, being over analytical to the point to where it's like you tear it down before it can even grow into something beautiful. It's like, love is like, you have to take a chance. Nothing's gonna ever be just perfect, but that validation, the point I'm trying to make is, you cannot let the validation of others stop you from living your best life.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna just leave it.
That's real. That's the same thing I was saying. That's literally what I wrote. Is validation keeping you stagnant? And that's because, like, if you are always waiting on approval from your mom, from Instagram, from your girl didn't text back to let you know what type of hair you should get, or your girl didn't text back to see which picture you should post today, is gonna stop you from, you know, making that next step. And so it's just like, what things are you in your life stopping you? Like, what validation are you seeking that is stopping you from going to the next step?
Is it stopping you from speaking up at work?
Exactly.
Or in the classroom? Is it stopping you from being a part of groups that you want to be a part of because you're worried about hanging with the cool kids? You know, I think about when we were in high school and how, you know, that certain, you know, you want to appear a certain way, you know?
Yeah, that's really true. And so this is one thing that the Psychology Today said, and this was very true. It was just basically saying, like, you know, validation is cool and all, you know, when it's a positive type of validation, but you have to have validation within yourself first. And so basically it's just like, if you are what I want to say is, don't build your life on the validation of others, because that could be your foundation. No, it should be on what you actually like to do, what you want to do with your life, and things of that nature. Because if you're constantly just seeking validation, you're not living your fullest life. So you have to have validation within yourself. And I say this because you really have to do this, because we did this to my brother. My brother, he runs Black Market Houston. It's huge marketplace in Houston where Black vendors come and shop, and it's amazing. Happens every first Friday and every second Saturday at the Blissful Soldiers Museum. Anyway, follow them on Instagram, Black Market Houston, BLCK, Market Houston. Okay, but you know, he started this like 3 years ago, and he had a job at the CW, and he was like, you know what, Tiff, I think I'm gonna quit my job. He was not making money. Like, he wasn't like had a savings that, you know, he could just fall back on, and so he has a family and everything. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna just do Black Market full time. And I'm like, you should probably wait a few months and then quit your job, you know. My mom said the same thing. You probably want to save up a bit, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, being a sister that loves him, you know, I want the best for him, so I'm trying to give him my best advice. Right. And he was like, nope, God is telling me that I need to quit my job. So he quit his job. You know, a year later, he's a full-time entrepreneur, and he's making more money than he ever has, right? He's successful now. And so what I say is, you could try to seek validation from the people who are closest to you, that have your best interest in heart. But if God puts something in your soul and your mind and your heart, you have to believe in God and yourself enough to know to say, you know what, this looks like a risk, but I'm validating myself right now, and I'm going to press forward. And I think there's so much magic in doing the unnormal thing to do, because, you know, society is actually pretty safe. You know, but if you want to be extraordinary, if you want to be unique, you have to step outside of that, outside of what people think of you, and what, even when somebody is trying to have your best interest at heart, you have to step outside and say, no, I'm going to try this. Like he said, like, I'm going to give it my all. And so, I mean, that's what's the difference between like normal people and like superstars, just to be honest. You know, you got to step outside.
And the thing is, when you do let a situation like that affect you, then you live in regret. It goes back to the video that Jarvis posted and shared. When you're thinking about other people's opinions, then it's like you have to live with yourself. Right. You have to live with the decision you made. And so if you're not living for you and you're living for other people, then you're going to live in regret. And that's not a way you want to live.
That is not a way you want to live.
But I did want to share some signs, because I know you might be thinking, okay, well, yeah, I seek validation, but you might be thinking that you're normal with it. But how do you know if you're seeking too much of external or outside validation?
Yes.
Here are some signs. You feel the need to explain yourself when you make a mistake.
Yep.
You rely on a number of likes or comments you receive on social media to feel worthy. You often seek approval from others when you make decisions. You often go on rants in an attempt to have your struggle understood.
Indeed. Bless you.
You are highly sensitive to criticism from others.
Mm-hmm.
Your emotional state, number 6, y'all. Your emotional state depends on how you think others perceive you.
Oh, wow. I like that one.
That's
a good one.
Yes. And then last, you often make decisions on what society deems acceptable, even if it doesn't align with your values.
Yes.
And that is what we're talking here.
I love that. Here. And I feel like we should really break down that one, the value one, because I did come across an article that was similar to show you signs of like validation.
Yeah.
And if I could find the one, it did say basically the same thing. If I could just remember from the top of my head, it was basically saying it when you're doing things that don't align with your values.
Yeah.
And that's very important, because if you're around someone that you really like, or someone you adore, or someone you look up to, sometimes they might say some things and you're like, oh yeah, okay, or you like, well, you try to control your head, well, maybe this could work, or doing some things. Like, I remember in high school, I was rolling with this girl, and she was just doing things that weren't in line with my morals or values. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel happy about, I'm putting myself in stupid ass situations and stuff like that. And so it's just like, that's a sense of validation. I could have said, nah, you know what? I'm not rolling with you today. Or, I'll just hang out with you at school, or this, that, and the other. But sometimes we do things even like, for guys, like, I might throw it back for him one time.
Exactly. No.
Because
you want that person to like you. You want that person to be like, this is my best friend. We do everything together.
Yes.
You want that sense of friendship
Mm-hmm.
and like, this my bestie. You know? So you feel like you have to go along and do things with them, but even if it's not something that you want to do.
Yes. And I think it goes back to one of our other episodes when we were talking about something in relationships, when sometimes we're scared to speak up and voice, in fear of somebody losing them or something like that.
Exactly.
But if somebody really is for you, if you're my best friend, or if you're my boo thing or whatever, and I disagree with you, or it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. And a lot of times what makes friendships and real relationships so real is the fact that y'all could disagree and it's still push forward. But I feel like when someone's constantly seeking validation, it is putting out, I'm speaking to my own self, it is pushing out a vibration of desperation. And what do you attract when you put out desperation? You don't get you get
what you deserve.
You don't get what you deserve. You get lack, because
you get settling.
Yes, desperation is the scraps. Like, I'm hungry. I'm just gonna eat anything. When you're hungry as fuck, and you just like, let me just grab some chips.
The first thing.
But you don't want that. You want a healthy, sweet potatoes with some sauteed green beans and some, I don't know, I can't think of anything that's not vegetarian right now. And so, but you want like a nice full course meal that's healthy for your soul, instead of the chips.
That's real.
And so that's one way to realize that you are seeking validation. And then another thing is, and Jasmine, you actually helped me out with this, is when you go along with something you don't agree with. So you'll be like, damn, I'm broke. And you're like, man, me too. You ain't broke. Like, you're like, dang, I'm so tired and I'm feeling stressed out. You're like, but you ain't feeling that same way.
But you just, you think what I think goes hand in hand with validation is peer pressure. Peer pressure and validation is one and the same thing if you think about it, because the reason why you're doing the thing is so that peer of yours can validate you and feel like, this is the norm. And so even just casual conversation where it's weird to be like, how you doing? I'm doing wonderful, chipper, and, dandy. Like, probably not in those words, but like to say that, because the norm is to be in this constant, like this state of and like, flux and just on the go. And so it's like, even just to be simply happy is going against the grain. And so going back to the story that actually both of you were sharing, the one you said that you read in the article, in the comment the video that Jarvis had shared. So basically what I'm understanding is that when you want to live your dreams and you're trying to live it through the validation of others, you have to be okay with going against the grain and just saying like, enough is enough. Like, it's not meant for you to understand which direction I'm trying to go right now in life.
It's
It's not meant for you. It wasn't meant for you and your mom to understand Jeremy's dream at that time, to understand that your brother was gonna, be a not just a barely surviving entrepreneur, but a thriving entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur of the year today.
Thriving. Yeah, not just a great entrepreneur, but a thriving, wonderful entrepreneur, y'all. Like, hands down. And it's just like, it's not people's, and imagine if we do seek validation from people just to go after that thing. Like, and it made me even think about when I was building my mom's house in the beginning processes, y'all, my closest people that I was expecting to be like, yeah, I'll help you with whatever you need. They were like, that's a big, and it was all out of love. It's like, oh, so it's not meant for people to understand that thing when you are trying to go after this dream. And so the point of it all is like, you still gotta do it anyway. You let them think that it's crazy. Let them think that it'll never get done. Let them think whatever the hell they want to think. Yeah. And so it's just like, you still have to press forward. You still have to move forward. Like Jarvis with this basketball dream, it's just like, I think it's the most, like, it's going somewhere, but it's not meant for everyone. And the people, sometimes it's the people that's closest to you that don't see it, and that's okay. But it's like, his mom's like, like odds say like, you have a daughter, let's stop pursuing this career and like, let's go do something else. But it's like, every time he gets like that opportunity to do that, another validation from the universe. See, and this is the thing, we need to seek validation from God, from the universe, because another validation from the universe, another opportunity comes, another something that shows you, okay, keep pushing, keep moving forward. And you will notice that when you're chasing your dream or going after the thing that you feel like it's really been put into you by God, even if nobody, and I mean nobody, validates you, God will send you opportunities that's going to validate you and tell you you're on the right track. They may send a person he's going to speak vicariously through and be like, you changed my life. Don't stop doing this. This has really helped me. And that just like, oh, that was that validation to know that I'm on the right track. I'm on the right path. And so seek validation from God through the universe, through the signs. He's always talking to us, always trying to send us messages. We have to just our eyes have to be open to see, and our hearts have to be ready to receive the messages that he's trying to give us, because the validation doesn't come from the people. I mean, it can come, and it's good to come, and it will come. It always comes back around. So don't think that it won't come, and be open and loving when, people that didn't see the vision at first, when they finally do start seeing it, when it actually becomes a reality, because, it wasn't their vision to even to see in the first place until it actually manifested into reality.
So I did have a question for y'all.
Please ask.
That the brain coach asked in her post, and she said, do you tend to seek external validation? And if you do, like, how has it impacted you? And then now that what we know now, like, how are you unlearning that thing? So if you were seeking validation, how can you unlearn it?
I'm trying to think of
like, for example, I'll use myself as an example. We can equate like likes and things, right? To like, it's childhood things maybe that affected us, right? So think about, like, as a kid, if you were one of those kids who like had to have that sticker, like that approval from your teachers, from your parents, like, oh, you did good, you're a good girl, you got A's, right? That pat on the back. that transfers over into an adult now. Like, oh, okay, now I have to. It's not stickers anymore. Now it's likes, it's compliments, right? So a way to unlearn that is, why do you feel like you have to get this hairstyle? Why do you feel like you have to wear this outfit? Why do you feel like you have to go to the store and buy this? Who are you? And you know what? This is the question that I know a lot of us get, and we get mad when we get asked this question. Who you trying to impress?
Girl.
Who you trying to impress? When you going with that outfit on?
And you always be like, I'm just trying to impress myself.
The lie.
True.
You trying to wear the outfit so you can go stand in front of that wall and get that cute picture and stand on the gram. That's how you do that.
That's definitely true. That's real. That's really true.
And I'm talking about myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why? Why do you need to do that? Why?
But that's oh,
and it can help. It really can help with, like you said, with your emotional state. One of the things that, if your emotional state depends on how you think, how you perceive others perceive you. If you're constantly living that way, first of all, you're betraying yourself. Because now you're not living for yourself, and then it's gonna have an effect on your emotional health.
Because it's gonna have an effect on your happiness. When you're thinking about when you're like, if your validation come from whether or not you like my picture, and you don't like my picture, so boom, my emotional state is gonna be down. I'm gonna feel sad. Like my self-esteem may drop. Like, am I not cute enough? Or then I'll start, probably depicting like the uncute features. Oh, maybe because I'm too skinny on that photo, or maybe because my acne, or maybe because my hair wasn't right, or I should have bought that outfit, or and then I would have really been slaying. And you just start going through these negative spirals, and it don't even be none of that. It don't, but it's like we put these things because we're seeking that external validation. Yes. But what if you just post that picture because you was like, oh, I'm cute on here, or oh, I like this spot I was at, and I just want to share it, and it's just the innocent, like, because I just want to, look, God did this in my life. Let me go ahead and share it with the world, or just in an innocent way, just because it's something you genuinely want to do. Genuinely want to do is
talk about it all the time. Intentions. What are your intentions? Why are you doing what you're doing, and why do you feel like you have to do them? Why do you feel like you need to seek that approval from everybody else? And then, I don't know.
I think I already said this, but it comes down to, if you seek approval from other people more than you seek approval from your inner self, that's when you have a problem with validation. Because there's nothing wrong with wanting people to validate you. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you put their validation over your own inner self, that's the problem. Because sometimes, true, maybe maybe you don't think that my outfit is cute. Maybe Deborah, you and Jazz don't say, you know what, I don't like that outfit, but you know what, I feel good in this outfit. Exactly. I'm gonna buy it anyways. That's when you're like, oh, I have enough self-love to just get what I want. It's like, it's good to have your opinion, but I'm still gonna go with this,
Exactly.
And so, and we have to remember that, and because we really do seek advice and all these things from other people, and that's totally fine, but at the end of the day, like you said, you have to do what truly aligns with your heart. And yes, your friends and family can help you and guide you, but at the end of the day, it has to sit right with your soul.
Yes.
But you have to affirm yourself first, and that comes with like self-love and knowing yourself, and that's a part of living for, like, I want to say living for God more than living for yourself, because God puts things into our hearts. We know the things that we're supposed to be doing. Essentially, sometimes it takes some time to figure out. But, we have to, like, put our inner selves over the validation of others. Because if not, we're really going to not be able to fulfill our destiny. And that's what life is about.
Something else you said that struck something in me, too, relationships. I will say, I did the love language test, and my top are, what is it?
Words of affirmation?
No. So words of affirmation was basically like my number 3. Like it was number 4, but the number of questions that I answered was like 6 out of 20. So it was still like
the
a
same.
lot.
Like
yeah. So it was like my top was 9. I had 9, 7, 7, and then 6 was words of affirmation.
So they basically measured out to be the same thing.
Exactly. So it's really like
you need to be loved in all these ways.
Exactly. Like I want that physical touch. I want to be in your presence, and I want you to be, you know, saying, "Yeah, I love you, girl. Ooh, you know, you special. You are my rock." You know, so I want to hear that. But, you know, I started feeling some kind of way because I wasn't, you know, getting those words of affirmation from my significant other. And here I am like, damn. So, you know, I'm trying to do stuff extra, trying to make him give me that compliment. And it just wasn't happening. And so I know it might be some of you who might be feeling that way. Like, damn, why can't I get this compliment from this person? But it's like, you have to compliment yourself at the end of the day. And that is why what we do after every episode, affirmations, is so important. Because if you're not getting it from the people around you, you have to be able to give it to yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, girl, you fine. You are a whole snack. You have to be able to give that. You are smart. You are beautiful. Whatever that compliment or whatever. Even in the workplace, you might be looking for recognition in the workplace. Like, damn, my job don't appreciate me. They ain't giving me no award. They ain't they ain't giving me no raise. Right. But it's like, you have to give yourself that, like, I am the shit. Like, I did this presentation. I killed this presentation. I killed this, this website or whatever. Yeah, you have to be able to tell yourself
before anybody else.
Before anyone else.
Yes.
And, I was just going to say, like, same thing happened to me. I was talking to I text my family like, hey, pray for me. I want this and that or whatever. And my dad texts back, God knows your worth. God knows your value. Hey,
come on.
You're going to get exactly what you deserve. I said,
come on.
I said, okay. I'm like, you're right. Because, you be worried and she's like, no, God got you. Yes. And we have to also know that. It's like, it's really, you have to consistently affirm yourself.
You do.
It's a practice. I think
it is.
Yeah, it's a constant practice. And this is going off topic, but also in a relationship, you actually have to talk about that as well. Like, hey,
Oh no, girl, I definitely tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and just to touch on that as well, because a similar situation with Jarvis and I happened, but it's because everyone, we love people how we want to be loved.
Yes.
And they just loving us how they want to be loved. And instead we have to be conscious of loving a person how they want to be loved. Because in the book, The 5 Love Languages, it talks about how to, and this is kind of going off topic, it talks about how to make your significant other's love tank full. And so it's like, it was a story about a man and a woman. They've been married for like 30 something years or so, and the husband would cook for her, clean the house, come in, he would get off early and like go and clean up, and he would make sure the yard was always cut. And then she, on the other hand, I really cannot remember her love language, but basically his love language was acts of service. And he was giving her acts of service, like doing the little things around the house. And she, I think it was, quality
time?
It could have been quality time. That sounds like she just wanted to spend time with him.
Yeah.
I don't know, and just be in his presence, and for her to, maybe it was physical touch too, or something. Like she just wanted to feel him, like him with, like as she walked in the house, she just wanted like a simple hug, or like just some affection. And in her love tank, meanwhile, he's doing everything like I'm trying. I feel like she's just like grateful at this point, because I do all this for her to show her my love, and she's just not receiving the love. I come home, I cook, and most husbands want their wives to cook, but I want to cook for her because I know she's had a long day, and I don't want her to, So he was, in his mind, he was being just the most thoughtful person, doing it, going on overdrive, trying to please her. And she's meanwhile like in tears because she's like, my love tank ain't full. I just want to, I don't remember. I wish I remember whether it was words of affirmation or whether it was physical touch, but basically she just wanted either to hear, like, I think it was affirmation, because she felt like they wasn't communicating. She just wanted to talk to him, and for her to ask her how my day was, and she could just, talk to him and spill out how her day was, and just like share with him what's going on. And she just wanted to bounce verbal stimulation, and he was like giving acts of service, and it was not going. So just in relationships, you do want to talk to your significant other, and of course you can't expect the change to happen overnight, because these are habits, and this person maybe I'm guilty of this. I've been loving this way my whole life, and so for you to tell me to love you in a different way, I just want to snuggle under you and feel you, and could be cuddly. But if your love language is acts of service, you might just want me to go cook food, or you might want, or if I'm a woman, I may want you to go wash my car, or I may want you to like give me a massage, especially if your love language is physical touch. You want a massage or something, or you want you in the kitchen and him to like grab you by the nape of your back or something. Like
we all love that.
We all love that. Oh my gosh, yes. You want a woman to go weak. No, I'm joking. But like seriously, and so it's just understanding how that person wants to be loved.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not off topic, because it's a validation of your love. You just want to know that this person loves you, and if you're not receiving it in that way that you feel is validated to you, then you're gonna feel like, are we good?
Do we really love you? You love me? Yeah.
Ooh. That's why it's so important to have that communication, because when you do start to look back, you do realize, like, you know what, dang, they are actually doing this or that. And that's why it gets a little frustrating if you don't communicate, because they're like, you want this, and then they're like, dang, I'm doing this and this, and so you really got to talk about it. But
right, because you might not even have to work all that hard doing this when all they want is this,
exactly,
or that, like that's it.
Yeah, and this also just brings me back into like validation altogether is really being your authentic self. We say this all the time. Seeking constant validation could morph who you actually are, because you're trying to be this for one person, be that for someone else, and then they have this version of you that's not the true you, and so you will never truly be validated because you're not showing your true self. And so real validation comes from when you're being yourself. You can be your weird self, your crazy self, praising the Lord, doing whatever you want to do. True. And that person says, wow, I like that. I love that. I want to be around that person who's authentically who she is. You'll never get validation from trying to be somebody else for someone else, because that's not who you really are. And so we have to be mindful of that. We're seeking this validation, like we're gonna win something, but at the end of the day, like social media. I love social media, and I love the way the layout looks on Instagram. But I know that my food pictures don't get as many likes as my pictures. Yeah. But I'm like, I really like posting my food though. Also, that one might get 25 likes, but I don't care. Because I like it.
Always make me laugh when it's like little kids or a dog or something like that get like 20,000 likes. You like, how does a picture of that damn dog?
Right.
This baby get more likes than all of these.
All it is. Okay.
No, but it's always funny to me when I see stuff like that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another reason why I like just loving yourself, self-love. And if y'all haven't listened to our first podcast, go back to number 1. Self-love is so important because it's so important. Because I was listening to this interview with JoJo, the singer, like Get Out, Leave Right Now, with Lewis House.
Yes.
And she was just talking about how she was like stuck in her contract, and she was like people that she had opened up for her had surpassed her and things of that nature. And she was just saying like he was just saying like, how did that make you feel? And it's like, of course, I felt like a type of way, like you want the best for your people, but like sometimes people pass you up because you locked into a contract that and things of that nature. And so it's just like stuff like that can happen essentially. But
your laptop.
You have to if you have that self-love and if you're really following God's plan for your life and your purpose, it doesn't really matter if someone's surpassing you, if someone is leaving you, whatever it is, because you have to tap back into yourself.
Yes, you're evolving at your own pace because you're not worried about, this person is at this point.
So what I'm getting from validation, and I'm thinking of solutions, healthy solutions on how to combat unhealthy external validation and unhealthy internal validation that we can infringe upon ourselves just as well, is one, I feel like it has to be self-love. Yes. When you have that, everything just always goes back to that self-love. Because when you love yourself, you don't put yourself in situations where you feel uneasy, unsafe, unsecure. So that's self-love. And then, Tiffany, you talked about this earlier about when you go with your feelings, go with the thing that really make you feel empowered with that. If it's that jacket and it make you feel like you're on top of the world, get that jacket, wear that jacket. If you want to post a picture because you feel like this is the most delicious smoothie you ever drank, put that smoothie out there because somebody was probably looking for a new smoothie place to go try.
That's real.
And then, so just do things, whatever makes you feel good. Like, just go off the feeling, whatever makes you feel good. Of course, nothing crazy to other people, but whatever makes you feel good, act on that. And then confidence. When you have confidence in yourself, when you don't get validation, you'll still feel good. Yeah. You'll still feel good. You won't feel less than, or like,
it's that self-worth, that self-esteem, that self-love. Like you said, it's all in one.
Yeah. And you get that self-love from doing, how we say this, but doing the things you love. But if you are worried about what other people think you should be doing and you're doing that instead, you're never going to find that self-love because you're not releasing yourself to do that, because people be scared to dance, people be scared to speak in front of people.
Exactly.
But when you start to do the things you actually love and you're like, oh, I'm good at this, I love myself for even doing this, for even trying, even if I'm bad at it.
You build your
even
confidence.
If you're bad at it.
So trickle down effect.
Right. So, and the last one was do what you want to do because other people ain't you.
They ain't you.
They ain't you.
And nobody can do things like you could do.
And nobody can do you like you can, boo-boo. Because, no, seriously, like, no one can do you like you. And so when we do ask people, what do you think about this? I'm just telling you what I would do. Yeah. And it's most times I try not to. I try to put myself, when I am giving advice, like, try to take the biasness away and stop thinking about what something I would benefit me. I'm really genuinely trying to think about what benefits you in every aspect of your life. But most people, we naturally, innately, well, I don't want to say innately, we just naturally, Why don't you
want to say that word?
Because I don't know if this is like something we're born with. I just feel like,
okay, just wondering. Okay,
biology
teacher.
I'm like, but I just think this is something we naturally do. We think of ourselves when we answer a question. We just, our first reaction, like, do you want the air on? No, don't turn the air on because I don't like the cold. I'm not thinking about X, Y, Z. That's probably over here sweating and like, sweating bullets. But I'm just thinking about what benefits me right off the initial. Yeah. So your first thought is, so people's first thoughts when they do validate you is something, it could be coming from a place of, if they feel like they were never good at track and they could tell you, no, don't try track. Track is, not a good sport or whatever.
Because of the experience they've been through.
Because of their own personal experiences.
What you want. Should I go after this promotion? No, don't do that. Because they secretly want to go for that promotion, for that position. Because what you were talking about, too much of the self. You thinking about too much of you. If you know that it's enough for everybody out here, go for it. Hell yeah.
And it's just, if you're asking for advice for somebody, just take it as not advice, but like just take it as a comment, like an opinion, like, okay, and take it as I don't have to take this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it if I want to.
You have the right not to take someone else's advice. Right. Yes, that's what I want to say.
If it's in alignment.
Yes.
It's like, what she says aligns with my soul. Let me go ahead and do this. Yes. But if it doesn't align with it, it's like, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that person is gonna love you no matter whether you take their advice or not. Mm-hmm. Like I always say, at the end of our conversation, I know you're probably going to do the opposite or go back. And I'm going to support you anyway. I promise I'm going to support you. And I'm going to. Yeah. So you don't want someone that's going to hold you so far. If you didn't listen to my advice, then we done. Because that's not realistic.
No, it makes sense.
It's not realistic.
That only makes no sense.
It don't make no sense. Okay.
That's really good. All right, guys. I thought this was a lovely podcast.
Yeah. Right. And I want to end on this because Kyla Pratt posted something. And it just goes along. I just feel like it's aligned with what we were talking about. Stop skipping the gym. Stop skipping your meditation. Stop your negative self-talk. Stop with people who only have with you. Stop selling yourself short. Stop living someone else's dream. Stop being a wussy and do the damn thing.
You saw that. Let's go. She left out that part. Let's go. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna edit that out for YouTube purposes. So go monetize this video.
Yes. Okay. What time is it?
It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time.
Y'all, if this is your first time tuning in on the Soul Feeling Podcast, we always end our podcast with a positive affirmation. So what the heck is an affirmation? An affirmation is any statement that you are using to transform your life. Either you using your words to transform your life in a positive way or in a negative way. Even in the Bible, it says, let the weak say, I am strong. So on those days when you're feeling weak, feeling not your best self, still affirm and speak positive, uplifting things over your life. So I'm affirming that it's millions, billions, trillions, gazillions of y'all out there tuned in, or just really whoever's divinely meant to be tuned in. And we're going to go ahead and end this thing off with our positive affirmations. Who wants to go first?
I didn't even think about my affirmation this time.
I just always feel like our topics are always just in line with the universe, because I always see stuff that just is always in line with our topic.
Right.
What it is.
That's good.
But this comes from Motivation. I have Motivation on Twitter. And this is my affirmation. I want y'all to affirm it too. What I need to be successful is already inside of me. I will not seek approval of man. Ooh. I only seek to please God. I will not doubt my ability to be great. I will walk in my purpose boldly.
That's mine.
That's my
affirmation. That's exactly mine. That's mine. Put y'all's affirmations below, because that is
that
mine.
Was powerful. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Boldly.
Yeah, all that. I only see that's my affirmation from the Most High God.
From the Most High God. I see from the Most High God. All right, guys. Yes. So Tiffany, let them know where to find us.
Okay. Yes. I know y'all want to go ahead and follow us on Instagram after listening to this podcast, right? SOULFILLING podcast, literally everywhere. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter. We over there popping. But most importantly, if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating and write something soulful and sweet. It will help us get up in the rankings. And subscribe to us everywhere. And if you are listening to us on YouTube, let us know how you are going to improve your validation necessity. What you about to change?
Self-validation.
Yes.
Inner validation.
Yes. All right, guys. Lastly, we have a Patreon called patreon.com/soulfilling. And if you would like to give just a little something every month, we would greatly appreciate it. All of our money, all of this is because of we bought this, including the studio. Shout out to Fat and Function. So we love you guys so much.